But what we quickly developed or quickly realized was that regardless of the amount of leads that you provide to the hospitals or the amount of acquisition that they receive, the hospitals do not have the infrastructure in place to process all of that data. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So my name is Conaty. I'm CEO and co-founder of healthstay.io. My other co-founder is sitting in the audience here. His name is Rory Tubbard. Say hello to Rory. I'm going to discuss the challenges faced by health providers when it comes to medical tourism in the MENA region. So I'll begin by discussing a bit about HealthStay and a background into our company and why we were developed and created. Then I'll discuss the current landscape of medical tourism in the UAE and the challenges it poses for providers. And then I'll finish by discussing the opportunities in the space for digital solutions like ours and how the space can benefit from automation and AI. So starting about HealthStay, like everybody in the industry, we started off in lead generation. Customer acquisition was our starting point. Now, when you speak to the majority of digital solutions or facilitators in the space, that's the main focus. It's all about, can we provide customers to hospitals? That's the main focus at the majority of the events that we go to. But what we quickly developed or quickly realized was that regardless of the amount of leads that you provide to the hospitals or the amount of acquisition that they receive, the hospitals do not have the infrastructure in place to process all of that data. Their teams in-house are completely overwhelmed by the demand on a daily. A lot of the processes used are manual. Everything is done via WhatsApp, via email and Excel sheets and all manually input. There's no tracking of any of the data within these hospitals when it comes to medical tourism. There's no sales funnel as such. It's very rogue and ad hoc in terms of its setup. So we stopped. We put a halt to our company right there and then, which was the customer acquisition marketplace we had developed, and we decided to pivot into what was a SaaS product, and then now is a sales and management SaaS solution for medical tourism. So we wanted to fix all of these issues from the internal for hospitals, and that's been our focus since January this year. And we have recently launched. We have some customers here in the UAE who have been our flagship, and so that's a bit of a background into HealthStay. That's where we're at. So discussing the challenges that the providers face right now in the UAE, but also in the MENA region and beyond. Obviously, the space itself is quite new. As an industry, it's very immature. Since COVID, really, it's kind of been growing exponentially year on year, especially in the UAE. And there's a big push, in Dubai specific, in Abu Dhabi and in Saudi and these places to develop as medical hubs. And you can see why. The infrastructure in the countries are amazing. The hospitals are like hotels. A medical package can be so much more than just the procedure itself. It can be the experience, the travel, the tourism, etc. So Dubai as a city is perfect for that. But the hospitals do really well in one area, and that is partnerships, acquisition as such, lead generation. If you go to these events, which are very regular in Dubai, which is brilliant, but the ability they have to network, and they have partnerships in Africa, in the CIS regions, in Russia, all over Asia, Europe, etc. So their acquisitional channels are amazing. It's absolutely amazing that the work they do on that end. But that's predominantly where a lot of the investment and time is spent for medical tourism. Where it's not spent is really probably the most important part, is where all of that data and all of those leads come into, which is in the hospital. So they have to be processed, they have to be qualified, and the most important part, they have to be converted to leads, or them leads have to be converted to sales. So within the hospital, there's zero infrastructure to process all of this data when it comes to medical tourism. And that's an issue. And that's probably the biggest challenge that's faced right now. So when we go around, we actually got validated. Our concept was validated by working closely with specific hospital teams in the UAE over the past 18 months, and we've seen firsthand the struggles that these teams have. I mean, the teams are brilliant. The people working in these teams, you know, like it's not their fault, but essentially they're working with their hands tied behind their back because they have no digital solutions whatsoever, no infrastructure, no resources to make their life easier. So what me and Rory here have put together is we are leveraging AI and automation via a SaaS product to automate a lot of the repetitive tasks on the hospital ground floor when it comes to medical tourism. And our technology really, it's the first of its kind. But the idea behind it is that while the data comes in, while all of these leads and the traffic comes into the hospital, that it's processed automatically, but it frees up the agents to really chase down those leads that actually matter. It differentiates, you know, simple inquiries and people who aren't really interested in specific procedures from those who are genuine leads and genuinely interested in getting treatment. So then you're giving the care needed to those who really need it. The problem right now is you could call the hospital, or you could send in an inquiry through a form, is what the setup is on the websites. And because the hospital is so busy and the sales agents are so overwhelmed, you might not hear back from that hospital for 3-4 days, sometimes not at all. And that's a problem, you know, and then those customers aren't being converted to patients. So that's where we come in. Another element to our technology, which, you know, is going to be a game changer in the medical tourism space for hospitals, is we centralize all of this information, we centralize all of this data for hospitals, and we run specific AI models over the data to clean it, and then to allow the hospital to extract the information necessary, and also to make predictions off that information so they can run more targeted marketing campaigns. So they'll understand the consumer much better then. And this is something that's really needed in the space, because right now it is very rogue and it's very ad hoc. And in terms of technology, we believe that there's massive scope for hospitals to adopt technologies like HealthStay, you know, to really kind of revolutionize the space and to bring it into kind of like the AI concept to make it much more effective in hospitals. And we believe once that you know, they're using technologies like ours, medical tourism will run much smoother, it'll be much more streamlined, and they will definitely have an edge in the market. Okay guys, that's me, I'm out. Thank you.